If you're looking to start using Proxmox and know how the features works and what kind of features it has, you are on the right place. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what features Proxmox has and what we can do with the free of cost license. So we did not buy any enterprise license or anything, so we are using just the free version of it. Okay, so currently I'm just using, you can consider just one disk, and which is 1 TB. So on the first main page after logging in, you will see a data center and the host node. So basically this is the node. So what you can do in one data center, you can add multiple servers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, as many as you want, and they will show all under one data center, and you can access them using just one IP addresses. Yes, you can access them separately as well, but they will still show up under one data center. And what are the benefits of like adding multiple inter data center? There are like more features open up when you do that, like clustering, replication and stuff. So we will talk about that in any other video. So this is you can consider the most basic video related to the Proxmox. I'm going to talk about the basic features, what you can do and how you can do in Proxmox. Okay, so first thing first, the data center, and you will see under data center, you have one node which you installed on your server. And under this one, you will see local network portion, the local data store, and the local LVM. So like basically these are the two stores, or two, you can consider two disk it splits into. So one we can use for backups and for the ISO images, and the other one we can use for the containers and the virtual machines disks. So for this one, if you have to like install any of the virtual machine, and you're going to need an operating system, so you can put that operating system here in ISO images. So here we have two options, like you can upload. If you have something in your computer, you can just simply click on it and then select the file and upload it. And the other way, what I prefer doing, like why download it on your computer and then upload it here, just do it easy way, just download from the URL. Just paste the URL here. So let's say if I have to install Linux Mint, I'll go to Linux Mint Home and then click on download the latest version, and then I'm going to click on Cinnamon download, and here you can see the file size in the installation guide, and we're not talking about Linux Mint. So let's do that one of the, let's say, Giganet. And I'm gonna first, I will hover the mouse pointer here, and I can see the link down below right here. You will see it shows .iso. That means it's gonna directly start downloading. So I'm gonna just copy the link and download from URL, and I'll paste it here. So it will like run a query if it's a valid link or not. If it is, it will show the file name. So this is a file name, and this is a file size and the MIME type, and you're going to just click on download, and then it will start downloading it. All right, so I can still close it and it will run in the background. You can see I can still double click on it and see the progress. Meanwhile, I can do more stuff. So let's talk about the features first, and I'm gonna start with the node features first. So on the search, you can like simply search whatever you want, and it's gonna show you here like the storage usage and the storage names, LVM, and the local and the SDN as well. In the summary, it will show you the more and detailed view of your server. So like for me, it's showing me my CPU, which is like 48 CPUs, and what CPU I'm using, it's 48X Xeon E5 2697 V2, which is 2.7 gigahertz, and it will show me the RAM as well. So here it's showing the CPU usage, load average, and the RAM usage. So I'm currently using almost 5 gigs or 4.4.5 gig out of 377 GB of RAM, what I have in my server. And then the hard disk space, which is actually showing the local one. it shows 93.93, which is the local one. And if I have to see the disk usage of this one, I can go to summary of this, and you can see it shows 812 gigs and nothing is being used because there is no virtual machine or container on this one. Okay, and then the swap usage and CPU usage in the graphs, and server load and memory usage, CPU, blah, 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 everything, like even the network as well. All right, so the next thing is showing the notes. If you want to add some kind of notes, like what you're going to do on this one, like what VM you will create and what IP address you will give, anything, like any kind of notes you think you can forget about this machine, like username and passwords, you can save it here. Since you are the admin, nobody can access it. And the fourth option you see is shell. You can run any commands like apt update or something like that, uname -RA if I have to see what kernel version it's running. So you can see the PVE version and other information as well. And usually I do this hostname CTL, which is easy to understand. Like it's shows you the host name and the server details and the Debian version, which is running like the latest one, 13, because it's Proxmox 9.0. If you're using 9.4, like if you have seen any video, they were using version 12 of Debian. Okay, so like you can run any of the command what you run on your Debian. So that's the shell. In the system, the important thing, if you have to change the IP address of your server, you can do it here. So even you can create a virtual switch, which is like really important thing when you're installing any firewall. Then you're going to need a LAN interface. And so you just create a Linux bridge, and you create a bridge, and it's going to show you this name. And I'll recommend to leave it as it is, and do not add any ports, because they're going to just use a virtual interface. And just simply hit on create, and now it's created. And if you have to like change IP address of your system, you can of your Proxmox, you can do it here. But be mindful, if you enter it wrong, then you won't be able to access your machine. You will have to go to like physically be in front of machine and then update the IP address again. And that is even more complicated because you have to do this on the command line. So that's how you change the IP address. If you want to, just make sure you're giving it a right subnet, right gateway, and all that stuff. And after doing all these changes, you have to click on apply configuration. So like this one, I haven't do anything, and you can see it's saying under active. Yeah, I haven't done anything, so it's showing no. And even on the VLAN side, I don't want to create a VLAN. I'm just gonna need VMBR1 for my LAN interface, which I will use in my upcoming videos when I will install the firewall, which is going to be OpenSense. And then after applying, it will reload the service, and now you have active bridge. So you can use that as a LAN bridge on your firewall, and then other machines can use this one to get the IP address from DHCP. Well, we'll discuss this in the upcoming videos. For certificates, it's a long topic, but if you know, then you know how to like simply, if you have the certificates, you can upload it here. And then for the DNS, you can set DNS and the search domain, and you can edit that as well. Hosts, all the information what you see when you type nano etc host. Under option, there are like simple things. So the main important thing is the network, and then the repositories. You can see what repositories you have, and you can add repositories here. Like if you were to like buy enterprise license or Ceph or whatever, you can do it here. And they have their firewall as well, but I recommend using external firewall, which is like better. And then the second most important feature after network, it's going to be the disks. So if you have like multiple disks, you can use them here. So here you can see it's showing me two disks, SDA and SDB. SDB is actually the USB drive, but still it's showing up here. So if you have to do any kind of changes, like if there is any unused disk, you can like install disk, and you can even wipe the disk, show the smart values. If I click on this one, it's going to show me the smart values. I don't know why it's showing me error code or something like that, but I have done that on my other server. Okay, and here it's going to show you the LVM PV. So what I have done in on my like actual Proxmox, what I'm using for my production, I have created the in the directories, not LVM. So with the directory, you get like more features. Let's say, let me tell you this. So if you go to the summary, you can see it has only 100 gigs and you cannot increase the size of it. And if you have like ISOs, like multiple ISOs, currently we have Linux Mint, and if you have to like add more and more and more, and 100 gigs is not enough, there is no option to add more ISOs here. So if you have another disk, you want to like add more ISOs on that. So you just simply go to the data center and then find your storage device. Sorry, just go to storage, and you will see the disk you have created. So if it's under directory like this one, you see this one is directory. So you'll be able to add the ISO image feature on that one. And here you can see on LVM, I guess you get only two options, but on directory you get all of those. But this one is only 100 gigs, so we can do like so much. But if you have an external disk, you can add whatever you want, like disk images, which is going to be the virtual machines disk, and the container disk, the snippets, the imports, anything you want. Even you can do that on this one as well, but this is only 100 gigs again. Okay, I'm gonna jump back to the features of this and the ZFS as well. You can create ZFS if you have like multiple disks on your server installed, and you don't have the RAID controller, the hardware RAID controller on your server, or you're using HBA, then you can use ZFS here as well. Like in the installation, I showed you that was the ZFS for the installation, like the installation of the operating system itself. But for the virtual machines and stuff, you create the ZFS here. And then there is like more options, subscription, task. Replication is one of the feature. This says replication needs at least two nodes. So what I was discussing in the start of this video, if you like add cluster on this machine, then you'll be able to do replication. So like you can replicate your virtual machines and stuff. Okay, so far video has gone like more than 10 minutes, but still I was about to tell you all the basic features. So we have discussed almost everything here, like all the important features here. And on the other side, you can reboot your machine just by clicking on this one and shut down. And if you want to like access a shell, you just simply click on it, and then you can type the commands whatever you want. And if you click on this one, you see multiple options, and then you have bulk action as well. Like if you have like multiple machines that are like powered off, you can simply click on one button and start all, or like shut down all of those. And then to create VM, we have a button like on the top, create VM, create container, and then under user menu, you see the settings, password, TFA, color theme. So color theme, you can change the color from light to dark, apply this, and it's gonna like turn into dark. And you can change the language. I guess they have almost all the like famous languages, not all of those, but mostly. And then the password, if you have to like update password, you can do that here. And then my settings, you can see the settings of font, like not a lot of settings, but if you have to like do more setting about users, or like you want to create more users, that you will do in data center. So you go to data center, and then under permissions you find users, and then you can create user. And if you have to see the roles, you can see it here, like all the roles are like given. You can see the name administrator have like this access, no access is like no access, just a user. The PV admin can access blah blah blah. And even you can create more, just simply click on create, give it a name, and then keep selecting whatever the role you want to assign to a user. And the third most important thing what I wanted to share with you, which is going to be the two-factor authentication. And this is the must thing, you should always do that. Like I have on my other machine, let me show you. So this one, if I type my password, even if your password is hacked, enter, then it's going to show you you need to enter the TOTP. Sorry, I typed the password wrong. Damn. Once again. Okay, so now you can see it's asking for the TOTP, OTP, which is going to be from the Google Authenticator or any other authenticator. So your login is secure until somebody is like in front of your server. They can do that, do like reset server or something like that. But from online threats, you're safe. So that's like really important thing you should do. Set up 2FA whenever you're setting up your first server, and then for backup, you can set up backup like for every day, every hour. Let me show you and explain you how you can do that. It won't take more than a minute to explain. So it's going to show you the nodes, which node you want to do the backup, and then it's going to ask you where to store the backup. And then this one is the schedule. So it's every 30 minutes, 2 hour, like just check all out, and then it's going to show you all the virtual machines. Currently I have none, so it's not showing anything. So but if you have virtual machines, it's going to show you up here at this side. You so you select all of those, and then it's going to ask you for the compression. I'll recommend using ZSTD, which is like fast, good, and low in size. And then the mode will be snapshot. Snapshot mean like the current status of your virtual machine. Like if it was updated like 10 minutes ago, and after 10 minutes backup started, then it will like have everything whatever happened like 10 minutes ago. And then on the retention side, if you want to like retain backups, you can do that, like retain. So keep all backup means whatever backup schedule you're running, it's going to keep like all the backups. It will not delete any. But with the retention, you can just say keep lost one or like keep monthly one. So that means you're keeping the current one and one monthly, and then you can even keep one yearly. So that means you're keeping 3 backups of every single device, which is going to be one the latest one. And if you're running backups every hour, so that means you're gonna have like the latest one, and all others will be deleted. Or you can do keep daily and all stuff like that. And the node template, you can define node, and here is a possible like cluster name, guest name, node, VM ID, blah blah blah. And in the advanced, there is nothing you should know for the basic settings. So these are like I consider the most important settings of Proxmox. So number first, you should know about setting up the network. Number two, setting up the disk and the stuff. And number three is going to be setting up the 2FA, which is like the security thing. And number fourth, what I discussed right now about the backup and stuff. So I think that should be it for basic learning. Now you know almost all the best features of this one, and creating virtual machine is like really simple. If you have used any other virtual environment like VirtualBox or Hyper-V or any other one like VMware, then it's not going to be a big deal for you. So it's just simply VM ID operating system. Then you select any operating system. Then you select the system, which one you want, and then disk, you assign CPU, memory, network, and that's it. It's that simple, not a big deal. But about container, we will talk about it in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.